This is Ode Knight from the show. So we have our president-elect Donald Trump, who has met with President Obama, and while Donald Trump has a lot of good things to say about the meeting, he will continue on with some of his plans. And President Obama said that the meeting went pleasantly well for a first meeting, despite policy differences. So from that end, it seems that Donald Trump is taking things a bit seriously with President Obama and vice versa. At least that's, based off the reports and what they've been recorded as saying. Meanwhile, across the nation, there's been a series of reactions, some overblown, some really immature, and some that are very disturbing. The overblown are a lot of the Clinton supporters who will, I'm just going to come out and say it, acting like whiny little kids. Stop. You're not helping anything. If you are upset with the results, then I hope you voted, and you voted for candidates that would have helped you not only on the presidency, but also in your local and state government, because those have the biggest impacts on your life and the most immediate ones before the national folks ever put anything into policy. And two, that if your candidate didn't win, and it was very close, a very close election from the popular vote perspective, the difference about 1 million and change votes, that's not a good thing. So your candidate wasn't that strong to begin with in going up against somebody like Donald Trump. So take it for what it is. Work with your local and state areas, wherever you live, and do something positive. Because if you're concerned about somebody being changing the way that you will be treated, start locally. That is going to be the biggest impact on your life. Start locally from a political level and start locally as a social level. Because the more people that have the mindset that understand that you are not a whiny little kid, but you are actually genuinely concerned about the well-being about you and other people around you, and saying, look, if we're being mistreated, this is wrong, because we wouldn't want you to be mistreated. Because if you are, that's also wrong. Get people to understand where you're coming from. And get people to understand that you just want to live, be productive, and have your rights protected just like their rights are being protected. And if somebody wants to disagree with that, then they're in the wrong. But acting like a whiny little kid is not going to get you any friends. It's going to get you a lot of people laughing at you. And it's going to get a lot of people turned off by the true message of what you're trying to portray, assuming that it is a valid case, valid cause, and something worthy to bring up as a case to begin with. The second part here is a bit more disturbing. Whether Trump intentionally tried to do this or not, he has woken up a very dark side of America again to come out in the public. The xenophobic, openly racist portion of the population. And most of us would like to think that is a small minority. And we hope it is a small minority of people that think this way. But the real concern right now is that it will progress from just being a whole bunch of KKK graffiti and go home explicative against Muslim, explicative against Hispanics, racial slurs against them. And then there's the usual black stuff, whatever. You know, it's disturbing to just see that type of brazen openness. So whether he intentionally did it or not, that's what he tapped into, and that's what he is encouraging. And yeah, he got what he wanted. He wanted to win. He won. We'll see whether he actually does something about that or not. But we have already seen on the rise, both nationally as well as locally, incidents that are directly correlating to this Make America Great Again message. And that message is stemming out for white supremacy. That message is, I don't care whether you are a Muslim or not. If you look Muslim, get out. If you look Hispanic, get out. And I say that because in the area where I live, we have a high populace of Indian people, people from India, you know, whether they are Hindi or not, they practice religion in Hindi or not. They're from India. So if you look at that population, they have a range from like very dark skin to very light skin. So if you glance at them, they could look Middle Eastern over the entire population range. If you glance at them, they can look anywhere from Middle Eastern to Hispanic to black. And if you don't know the difference, you will think that they're Hispanic. So a couple of them are getting Hispanic jokes made at them. They're not Hispanic, but you already see the problem. One, it shouldn't be happening. And two, the people who are being discriminated against incorrectly are the wrong nationality or culture, creed for that type of discrimination, but they don't care. The people doing this don't care. And I hope this is something that will die out quickly when other people see it, white, black, brown, blue, pink, orange, whatever. Because this is not the 1960s where the majority of the population would support that or turn a blind eye to it because, you know, that's the way it is. There are more white people in America now who will not tolerate that. So I'm asking for everybody out there who will be subjected to this type of bigotry and racism, do not blanket blame white people. Because when you start doing that, you will start alienating them, who probably wouldn't even like that type of behavior if you pointed out to them without blaming them. They'll be like, all right, this guy's an idiot. Let me, work with you to get rid of this idiot or deal with it so you won't have to deal with that problem. So it's going to suck for the short term. We're going to have to deal with this as a person of color or colored person. Yeah, yes, I'll make that joke. Colored person is the same as person of color. Blah, blah, blah. Funny, haha. Get over it. It's a joke now. We shouldn't be worried about mincing terms like that. We should be worried about dealing with the actual actions that would come from hateful speech. And then we can start cleaning up the rest of this mess. My hypothesis on this is that if we deal with the root causes of this hate, all this little snide remarks will start going away with it. So the last thing we need to start doing, whether you are the recipient or whether you are a bystander witnessing this, is to ignore it or encourage it. And the first thing you should be doing is putting a stop to it, but not with violence. I'm not saying, take punches and, lie down or get shot at or beaten up or whatever. Obviously defend yourself. If they're coming at you with violence, Stop it any way you can. Sometimes it means leaving the scene immediately. Sometimes it means putting up your fists. And sometimes, I hope it doesn't come to this, but sometimes it means shooting back. Either way, defend yourself. Make sure you are safe. Make sure nobody else gets hurt. That is not the perpetrator of this violence to you. Make allies. Lots of them. Call it out. There are more people who will be disgusted by this if they see it. This is the perfect opportunity to be able to squash a lot of racism right now. So instead of whining about it, when we see it, unite, step up, confront it. And if they don't want to rationalize with you, we deal with it. Whether it means ostracizing them from the rest of the community, or we make sure that our leaders know that, hey, this person here is going to be doing nothing but starting trouble with us in the community. Let's deal with it. Let law enforcement deal with it. And if law enforcement won't deal with it, go above their heads. We'll organize together. We'll get people from different walks of life together to be able to fight this thing. But I don't want to hear again from teachers or from parents that some kid is going around chanting KKK, make America great again, or Donald Trump's the president now, so we're going to get rid of all the whatever for Mexicans or whatever for Muslims out of this country. You put a stop to that type of ignorance. We educate those that want to be educated. We lead by example. But for those people who literally will not stop until they see the demise of anybody that it does not look like them, we're going to have to find another solution. I don't know what that is, but I'm not advocating for violence. Don't misguide this is go beat them up, shoot them, or do something with them. I don't have a quick and easy solution for it. I'm not saying go and kill them. No. To all the white men out there who feel that they were being threatened by every single minority out there who's trying to play ball and get the same rights as you, but who didn't get it, and you feel safe now with a Trump presidency and all the other people out there standing up saying that, yes, we're going to fight for our rights as white men because social justice warriors want to see us all die, blah, blah, blah. Now, anybody who has dealt with racism, who has a sane mind, would not want that same crap to happen to anybody else, regardless of their skin color. So just because a society had benefited white men for the longest time, whether those white men realize it or not, does not mean that we suddenly are going to say, okay, now that we have our rights, we're going to take away all the rights from white men. No. No, that's not what this is about. Nobody's going to come and beat you up because you're a white male. And you shouldn't be wanting to go and beat up on somebody else because they're not a white male. That's not how this game works. That's not how it's supposed to work. Although there will be some people who will be advertising that this is how it's going to work. Don't fall into that trap. Because as quick as this pendulum swung that way, it could easily swing the other way. Just as hard, just as fast. You don't want to be a part of that. In the long run, you don't want that to happen to anybody. Because it could very easily and quickly turn around and happen to you. So coming from a black man to all the white men out there, I don't want you hung. I don't want you to struggle. I don't want you to be discriminated against, because I sure as hell don't like it when it happens to me. So when I hear these calls from some of these really crazy extremists, whether they're a feminazi or some sort of crazy person chanting Black Lives Matters, that's not what this is about. This is not about stripping some sort of your ability to be able to be a prosperous human being and enjoy yourself. This is just making sure that we get to have the same opportunities as you do when we play by the same rules. That's it. Now, with that said, I hope for at least these next 4 years and longer that we can all work together. We can all be mature about how we feel, whether, it's our candidate lost, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't mean we go scorched earth on this country. And it doesn't mean that we start going around and being bigots or racists or suppressing people just because of the color of their skin or what religion they have or don't have. We're supposed to be United States of America, and all of us make up the United States of America. And this country wasn't just built by white people, and all the things that allowed all people to build this country, whether for good or for bad, we all own it. Now let's start acting like we all own it, and we all want to make this better, because we all have a stake in it. We'll see what the next couple of decades bring. And hopefully, all this little racist chatter and, oh my gosh, Trump is president, country's going to go downhill permanently, blah, 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 will end. And we actually go and do something about it, do something productive. Governance doesn't stop just because we elect somebody we don't like. And the society doesn't stop just because somebody or a group of people that have a bad mentality are in power. It is still up to each citizen working together to be able to make an effective change in this nation and its policy. And we can work with our leaders or we can protest their actions. But we, all of us, are the real ones building this society. So if you're sitting idly by and complaining about it or feel like you're a victim and you're not helping out, whether that person looks like you or is going through the same situation or not, if you're sitting idly by and then it happens to you, that's on you. You could have helped somebody else out and they could have came and helped you out. I hope one day that all of us, not just the US, but the rest of the world, will learn that one of humanity's greatest strengths is cooperation. And we could do wonderful things, incredible things, if we all cooperate and work together. Let's see if it manifests itself here. For those who are being victimized by this sudden rash of racism, don't wuss out. Don't give up. Stay strong. There's a support structure now within the internet, or you could at least communicate what the heck is going on and then get support this way. But don't wuss out. Don't start crying crazy. Don't start blaming every person out there because they just because they look like the perpetrators that did it. Don't. And for everybody else out there, if you see this happening, stop it. Stop it. All of us are in this one. All of us. We need to do something about this. And we need to take action now to let everybody know that we will not tolerate bigotry and racism in this country, not anymore. You have help. You are not alone. We all can work together. Have a good night, folks.